Should I wear my black Dahlia
3D
sunglasses?
3D glasses. Yes, please.
Because I got it on record store day. Who are these guys?
I have no idea.
The Black Dahlia Murder.
Isn't that a reference to a serial murder case or something? I don't know. I don't know either. Hello and welcome everyone to This Is My Bourbon Podcast, the official show of This Is My Bourbon Shop. A show all about how bourbon brings people together and what makes it the spirit of Kentucky. My name is Perry. Thank you all so much for being here. And with me this week is the one, the only, my dad. Say hi, Dad.
Perry. Hey, everybody. I'm glad everybody's tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the podcast today. It should be a lot of fun.
Looking forward to it. So we are going to, as
thanks
always,
for having me, by
and
the
you
way.
are very welcome.
Sorry, I
No,
didn't
it's okay.
say thank you. I forgot my manners.
So we are going to, as always, start off the show by talking about what we're drinking, because this is a show where we are going to be drinking throughout in the spirit of bourbon. Dad, what do you have there in your nice little Glencairn glass?
Well, I have a little bit of Maker's Mark here. Just
tried and true.
It's Maker's is Maker's. You know, Maker's is our house bourbon. It is the bourbon that that I have loved for many, many years. I really think that it is the bourbon of Kentucky. There are better. There are a lot worse. But I think when
it's your go-to.
I believe it is my go-to. But but I believe that when you think of bourbon, honestly, you think of Maker's Mark. And I'm not trying. I don't work for them. I'm not. I promise you, I am an ambassador, as Perry is.
Yeah, I am as well. Yes.
Which is something that listeners, y'all should get on their website and become ambassadors, because it's really kind of fun.
Maker's is so cool too, because they have the whole red wax thing going. You know, it's something that's iconic. You notice it immediately. It's not the most expensive bourbon. It's not the cheapest bourbon out there, but it's very eye-catching when you first go into the store. It's set apart from the rest of the juice on the shelves.
And they distill and bottle different flavors, different selects. There's a 46 that's absolutely amazing. I think. I mean, it is one of my favorites. They have their own private selects. They have a cask strength.
That cask strength I haven't had in a long time, but I remember it fondly.
I actually have I'm looking at it. I actually have a bottle of a gold wax dipped Maker's. It was given to me on my 40th birthday. I didn't open it until years later. And it
number not to be revealed.
Held great in the bottle. It actually aged better, I thought, and so which doesn't really happen all that much in the bottle, but it sure did taste excellent. So anyway, that's my pitch for Makers. It's you can't go wrong. You honestly cannot go wrong with Maker's Mark.
It's a 90 proof bourbon, not too much spice on it, but yeah. I brought this. Dad's never had Maker's out of a Glencairn glass, and before we get into taking our first couple sips, I'm drinking the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. It's the newest batch, B517, 124.2 proof, uncut, straight from the barrel, 12 years old, non-chill filtered. And I had this before today, and let me just say, if you have not had it and you can find it, go get you a bottle. It is unbelievable.
I've had a taste of it. It's excellent.
It's fantastic.
It is. So anyway,
will you scoot a little bit closer to your mic?
Can you hear me better, people? Hello.
Anyway,
you gonna edit that out, or are you just gonna leave it in?
No, I'm gonna leave it in.
Okay, that's
fine. This is
that's fine.
Uncut and unfiltered, just like the bourbon we're drinking.
Exactly.
Well, like the bourbon I'm drinking. But anyway, like I said, Dad's never had Makers out of a Glencairn glass before. I had it last night for the first time out of the Glencairn, and let me just say, It is a transformative experience if you have never tried it before like that. But anyway, we're going to take our first official sip of the show. So, Dad.
Yes, Perry.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That really hits you there.
Cuts a lot of the alcohol.
Yeah, it really does.
Burn out of
It does. There's no burn
Mm-mm.
to it.
To steal a phrase from a good friend of ours, Chad Perkins, friend of the show, one of the hosts of It's Bourbon Night on
Hey,
YouTube.
Chad and Sarah, how are you tonight?
It's a caramel bomb.
Yeah.
It is a very strong caramel flavor, and that to me is kind of the predominant note in the Glencairn glass. I don't get it as much out of like a rocks glass or a tumbler or something like that, but
Maker's is smooth anyway. You know, I mean, it's smooth. I mean, it does have a small burn to it, but not much. And this is out of this glass.
You know,
it's amazing.
I didn't like Maker's when I first tried it. I really didn't.
Well, you were 11, and you know, it's hard to get your palate like.
It was a very undeveloped palate.
Yes.
For an 11-year-old.
Yes.
I know that there are some 11-year-olds out there that have been drinking for a lot longer.
Honestly,
than
I hope
had,
there are
but-
no 11-year-olds listening to this.
So, like I said, we're going to be drinking throughout
That's
the show.
water
but,
that we're consuming too.
Yeah. We're going to be drinking throughout the show as we always do.
Let me just
Yeah,
say a
go
couple
for it.
things too back about the Makers. You know, we went to you all don't know because you don't know us, but we went to the Bourbon Beyond
If you do,
Festival.
thanks for listening, friends.
Yeah, we went to the Bourbon and Beyond Festival in Louisville last week, and it was a 2-day event. We missed Saturday, but went on Sunday, and we were lucky enough to attend a seminar for Jefferson's, and we learned things, and we heard things that we had known already. But one thing, as in wine, bourbon also has legs, and that's if you tip the glass to a certain degree and bring the bourbon down slow into the glass, you'll see how deep the legs are. The Maker's doesn't have super deep legs.
No, it doesn't. And Jade Peterson, by the way, was was the host of that seminar by Jefferson's at Bourbon and Beyond. If you have the chance to go check out Jefferson's in any capacity,
and if you
absolutely should.
Oops, sorry.
No, it's okay.
If you have a chance to get a bottle of the Pritchard
cask finish.
Cask
Oh
finish.
man! So we wound up. That's going into his secret stash. A stash that I didn't even really know exists. What else you got back there? Oh my! So Dad has now pulled out, for those of you who can't see, and if you can see,
Kids,
go
I have
away.
Christmas and Thanksgiving
Go
right here.
go
Okay.
away.
In my right hand, I have Jefferson's Reserve Pritchard Hill Cabernet Cask Finish. It's excellent. In my left hand, I got the right stuff, right?
Yes. That's the cask strength.
Yeah.
Aged at sea. Which voyage is that? Do you know?
That's the Gilligan's Voyage, isn't it, Perry? I didn't see.
Let's look on the. This is Voyage 10. And if I remember correctly, Voyage 10 was where things really started picking up.
Really?
Yeah.
I
think we had Voyage 11 at Bourbon and
think
Beyond.
we did too. Yeah.
If I remember correctly, we had Voyage 11.
The Pritchard Hill is a 90 proof. The Pritchard Hill is a 90 proof. It's fantastic.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The ocean at sea is 112. It doesn't matter.
So anyway, if you can go get in touch with Jefferson's.
I have another bottle of Blanton's and another bottle of Weller Antique.
It's some of our favorite bourbons around.
That's in case
around
of
the family.
when the war starts.
In the bunker.
In the bunker.
We've all got a bunker. We all know it. Anyway, so as I said, we're going to be drinking throughout the show, as we typically do. But that is not going to deter us from having lively conversation. So, as we always do here on the show, my day was lovely.
Good.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
How was your day?
It started off a little rocky, but It was okay.
But you know what? You got poked in the right direction.
Sent straight up. And kids.
Don't forget your yearly physical, kids.
Moving right along.
Moving along. The first question that I like to ask our guests on the show is, what was your start with bourbon, Dad? So what was your first experience with bourbon, and how did that develop into your love of bourbon?
Well, honestly, it wasn't even bourbon. It was whiskey, which it happened to be Jack Daniels.
Jack Daniels, yeah.
You know, where everybody starts because you think you're a rock star. And so Jack is good, but I'm not drinking Jack. And
all the power to those who do drink.
And
Jack,
all those that
don't
drink it and they love it, that's fine.
It's all you.
I've had it, and it's very good, but it's just not what I like to drink. So I went from... we're as just honest as we can be and non-filtered. I went from Jack Daniels to, I think it was Old Fitzgerald or something like that. And because that's what my parents had at the house. And my friend, when I was in college, my friends were drinking Makers. And so Makers is where I learned how to enjoy and understand what bourbon was about. I remember an elderly person once said, "You know how to fly."
That's a really good way of putting it.
And yeah. I wasn't looking for wings, you know. I was just I knew what I liked, and so that's where we are.
Yeah.
Once again, I go back to Makers being you know, our go-to,
bourbon.
The house bourbon.
Yeah, and we've expanded our house bar to include a few more than just Makers now. And,
yeah, it's taken a while for me to like expand a little bit. I was really kind of closed-minded, and I tried different things, and I didn't really like them that much. I'm standing back in our bar right now, and looking at, you know, what I've tried, what I liked, what I didn't like. I love Woodford Reserve.
Woodford, again, is
the double oak is unbelievable.
The double oak, if they only made the double oak, I think I'd be happy. And I've talked about this a few times before with other friends, but Woodford's kind of it's an everyman's bourbon. And Dad just pulled out what we commonly refer to in the bourbon community as a dusty bottle.
It's a dusty bottle of Old Forester. Yeah.
Any idea when that's from, Dad?
No, dude, I have no idea. It's an 86 proof. This is what it's musty.
So it is what is now considered
Fireball.
The base. We're not drinking Fireball.
No, we're not.
It's what is now considered the basic proofage of Old Forester, and Old Forester has some great products out there.
That's an antique bottle, like, you know. I mean,
yeah, their Whiskey Rose series now is fantastic. If you haven't had the 1920 Prohibition style,
that's excellent.
Go get it.
Yeah.
Go get it. I cannot stress enough how good it is. Anyway.
Have you had any of that?
I have, and it's not good.
It's really not that good. It's not that good.
Yeah, it judging by the look of it, this is probably from...
It's probably from the 40s.
It's old.
The 1940s or 1950s. I'm serious.
It's got the real cork in it, and I probably shouldn't take the cork out, or else I'm going to dump more cork into the bourbon itself. Back label says Old Forester Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 86 proof, distilled and bottled by Brown-Forman Distillers Corporation at Louisville in Kentucky. This whiskey is 4 years old.
I can't remember. I honestly can't remember where I got that. It was either given to me after my grandparents had passed away.
It's got the old tax seal on it too.
Or a friend's grandfather. I can't. It's one of the two, but I mean, it's
well
in the bottle. In the bottles,
the bottle was dusty, but the
liquor
was
clean.
Not very clean.
The liquor's not.
It's full of cork. You know what though, Dad? Yeah. We don't do this very often, so.
What? You want some?
Let's try a little bit.
Okay.
Let's see how. Let's see what we've got sitting around.
All right, kids.
It's game time.
Yeah, this is gonna be
game time in the bluegrass.
Ugh.
Ooh, that cork is just decrepit.
Yucky, man, this is gross.
It's.
Dude, you really you.
How's it smell?
It doesn't. It doesn't really.
Just a splash.
You just.
That's
all you want.
That is
That's all you want.
plenty.
I don't even think I want.
Woo-wee. So for those of you who can't see, and again, if you can see, get out of this house. Go away.
What are you doing here?
It's got some floaters. Like I said, that's the cork. It still retains some of the honey look of it.
Yeah, but I think the honey's evaporated.
And you know what? As they say, bottoms up.
Yeah, bottoms up. You should see the look on my son's face right now. And yeah. Well.
That was disgusting.
Well.
Woo-wee. Okay.
I know about that.
Well, that was real bad.
I'm
fine.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna cut out the whole part of me trying that. That was not good. Anyway, to go back to the expanding our bourbon vocabulary. Excuse you.
That was a cough.
Yeah, it did take a little bit for me to see something other than Woodford or Makers in the house.
Yeah, but you know, it's good to try different things. I mean,
you don't know what you like until you try something.
Yeah, you really don't. I didn't like Buffalo Trace until you asked for it back in the house.
Yeah,
and it's excellent.
It's a real good everyday bourbon. Mm-hmm. What's the proof on it, Dad? I can't remember. Is it 90 or is it 92?
It's
yeah, that's 90 proof.
Where's that?
Should be right there on the side.
It's a 90 proof.
Yeah, tried and true 90 proof bourbon.
But I'll talk about this for a minute.
Oh, Dad's just pulled out the Chattanooga whiskey 1816.
I have a
straight bourbon whiskey,
which is Tennessee whiskey.
Still bourbon.
It says small batch bourbon.
It's still bourbon. It falls in line with the legal limits for bourbon in the United States. It's just it's not made in Kentucky.
In Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I have a a long-standing relationship with Chattanooga, Tennessee. And if we're lucky, we're going down there in a couple weeks, and I will be bringing some back. If we're lucky. So anyway, you just have to try different things.
You got to try different things. That's the bottom line, is that you got to try something different.
And one thing, I always ask everybody is, what is your house?
What's your house?
What's your go-to?
Yeah. So we probably have already answered this question, but falling in line with the show, as we like to do. Dad.
Yeah. Trying to see how everything got kind of discombobulated.
What's your desert island bourbon? If you had one bourbon to take with you on a desert island, we're trying not to put limits or qualifiers on this.
It would probably be Weller Special Reserve. I mean, it's.
I believe that to be true.
That's the other thing. That's one thing about Weller. It's not another overpowering taste.
It's another 90 proof. It's smooth. It's a little hard to find now, as you probably know if you're listening. But
when you find it, you hold on to it. I usually hold on to. If I have 2 bottles, I feel like I'm very lucky.
We run by the mantra of don't finish it until you got another one to replace it with.
Yeah.
and I can't get.
That doesn't go in the infinity bottle, by the way.
No.
That goes right out of and into.
The concept that was new to me that I just found out about recently was the infinity bottle, which, for those of you who don't know, you basically take the last ounce or two of what you have left sitting around in your bar and you dump it into a bigger bottle, and it's a collection of your bourbon history, or Scotch drinkers do it too. I brought it up to Dad when I found out about it, and said, this is something real cool to do, not just for me to look back on and see what my favorite bottles have been over the past however many adventures in bourbon drinking, but but to hold on to it and pass it down to different generations and have a little piece of family history laying around, regardless of whether or not they drink it. It's just cool to see something like that. Anyway, so your Desert Island bourbon,
it's
Weller Special Reserve.
Yeah.
Hard to beat. And the next question is, and again, we might have already answered this.
Honestly, I didn't know this was an interview, but that's
you come on the show, and it's just what happens. It's all unexpected. It's uncut. Okay. It's unfiltered.
It's okay.
It's a little cut. So in the bourbon community, we have the phrase unicorn bourbons. Something you're always looking for. Or the one thing that's out of reach that you can't always find when you're going into Liquor Barn or Kroger Wine and Spirits. Do you have a unicorn bourbon?
It's usually Weller.
Yeah.
It's usually, that's usually the first thing I look for.
It's rare that we go into a liquor store, see Weller, and don't grab it.
I would always grab it. We have been in our Liquor Barn, and last week I was in the Liquor Barn, and they had 2 cases of both the antique and the special reserve, and would only let me get one, and not of each. I'm like, look. So I got the antique because that's harder to find. That's harder to find, and that's what I've had the least of, and it's not my favorite of the 2, even though it's probably the better of the 2.
Have you had Weller 12?
Yeah, you brought it over once. In the black label?
Right. That's right.
In the black label, yeah.
Yes,
and it's very good.
Unpopular opinion. I like Weller 12 better than I do Van Winkle 12-year Lot B.
What?
And I'm going to catch some flack for that.
Not
I
for
know,
me. Others that will.
But there is something about Weller 12 that coats the tongue more. It's got more flavor. It goes down a little bit easier. And not that Van Winkle 12 is bad by any means. I'm not saying that at all. It's just that it has a thinner flavor profile, and it doesn't. I don't know. It's just not as satisfying.
Sometimes those bourbons that have been in the barrel for hundreds of years, not that long.
If you got a bourbon that's been in a barrel for 100 years, you don't have bourbon left.
No, you have an ounce. You have an ounce. You have an ounce of it. But for 21, yeah. They're fantastic, and they're fines.
Yeah.
But
it's different. But you get the barrel. You get the barrel taste. It tastes like nothing but wood or char or whatever. But people say that the sweet spots for bourbon are 4, 6, and 12 years. Anyway, I fully believe that. For those who are unsure what's going on, that's the air conditioning in the background.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I fully believe that 6 and 12 is the sweet spot for.
Yeah.
But I feel less so with 4 years, and the reason because of that is that unless it's unless it hasn't been aged or unless it hasn't been proofed down, like some unnamed white label whiskeys go. It doesn't quite cut it. I can still taste a lot of the age.
Let's get an aroma from Maker's Mark Distillery.
Ooh, man. It's like
what I just opened was Maker's White, and you can only get that at the distillery.
It's distillery exclusive,
and it's clear.
It's only 90 proof.
It's only 90 proof. It's a clear bourbon.
It's a clear whiskey. Not quite bourbon yet.
No,
it's a clear whiskey.
I think it's lost. I hope it hasn't.
Was this actually signed by Rob Samus?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I realized that when you bought this.
Well, I think I just showed it to you.
I don't think that you should have opened that.
Well, it's too GD late right now.
It is just a little late.
Because I did.
That's okay. We're going to put an explicit tag on on the show.
I've had a half an ounce of bourbon.
Yeah. So anyway, as is customary with the show, towards the end, we're going to do another review. Dad, what are we reviewing tonight?
Well, Harry, we're going to uncork a bottle of Blanton's, the original single barrel bourbon whiskey. Mm-hmm. And Blanton's is another bourbon that's very difficult to find. And I'm going to back up on one question real fast. Island number 2 bourbon would definitely be 46, Maker's 46.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyway.
Good call.
We'll tell you a little bit about Blanton's. Blanton's used to come in a bag.
I've got one of the bags.
I think I have one up there, too. Now
really?
It's like a plastic...
which is still kind of cool. It's okay. It's just not as... It's not as...
cool as the bag.
It's not as cool. It's not as visceral as the bag is.
I have somewhere up there. I see
that
one.
original Hard Rock Cafe San Diego menu you got hanging in the...
That's from 1991.
Wow.
I'm not kidding you.
Wow.
Yeah, how about that? The things I have in my bar. The things I don't have in my bar. Anyway, it is a fantastic single barrel bourbon. It used to be easy as can be to find. It's not anymore. I mean, if you find a bottle, I have 2.
And we're opening one.
And we're opening one. And the reason we were gonna review Weller.
But Weller, we talk about Weller all the time.
Yeah.
You guys know how much we love it.
And
you guys probably know how much we love Blanton's too. But we're gonna open a new bottle.
So, if you know anything about the bottle, the bottle itself has.
Dad just shot himself in the face with a little bit of.
With a BB gun.
I want to move on.
Anyway, it does have a jockey riding a horse on the cork, and it's got a very cool bottle shape. If you have never seen Blanton's before, it is distilled right here in Kentucky, of course. It is 93 proof. And this bottle actually says that this bourbon whiskey dumped on 3/16/17. It gives you a date.
March 16th.
March 16th, which means it was close to the beginning of March Madness. And a special shout out to Coach Rick Bettino. I hope all is well. And
Godspeed, friend. Not friend. Whatever. We're not getting political on this show.
Hope your next endeavor finds you doing something you like. How about I uncork this, Perry?
Let's uncork it. Oh, so satisfying. Oh, cork smell nice?
Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to do it.
It smells like fruit.
I'm going to do it in the rocks. What do you think?
So as per
here,
consistency standards. Oh,
tell me when.
That's good right there. Per consistency standards, we are going to be reviewing out of the same style of glass. We're both going to be doing. We're both going to be using about 2 ounces in a rocks glass.
You've got the cork.
I've got the cork. Yes.
Tell me about the cork. Tell them about like.
So one of the coolest things about Blanton's, though.
And you missed my visual.
Look like a horse riding.
Mm-hmm.
One of the coolest things about Blanton's is their. What's the best word for it? Their campaign.
Yeah.
Their collection campaign.
Collection campaign.
If you get all of the horse corks, it spells out the word Blanton's, and they've got this little circle right by their back foot with a letter on it. This one, what letter is this one on?
The letter O.
Brought to you by the letter O for ounce.
It was actually underneath somebody's fingernail.
If
Where's the cough button?
Doesn't get much bluer than that. Anyway.
I know what he means.
So we're gonna
Did you try it?
Take a little. Yeah, I shouldn't have, but I didn't really pay attention to it. So we're going to.
One thing. Okay, that's fine.
I haven't had.
I tell you about Blanton's, and I have not tried this yet, but the color, I mean, it's a lighter. It's a lighter color than I think most. It's more of an amber color than, let's say, Makers, because that was the last thing in the glass.
Oh yeah. This bottle is at 93 proof.
Right. And that to me is about where I want to go.
90 to 95 is for an everyday kind of bourbon.
Yeah.
You don't want to go too much higher.
So
anyway,
it's got fantastic legs.
Great legs on it.
like
we said, good color. Oh, the aroma is so floral. So fruity, so floral, and that kind of varies bottle to bottle, barrel to barrel on Blanton. Since it is a single barrel, it's not always exactly the same.
And I honestly didn't see how long this stayed in the barrel.
I think Blanton's is typically 8 to 12 years.
I think you're right. I
I can't.
I don't. It doesn't say. I don't think. I mean, it should probably in the little pamphlet thing that they.
It's a lot harder to find age-stated bourbons anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, forget that. Let's have a sip here.
We'll cut it out.
You can cut it out.
Anyway,
here
we're gonna cheers. We're gonna try this.
That's just smooth as it can be. I mean, it is. Wow, I have not had it in a while.
I haven't either.
And I forgot how good that is. Wow.
You just sit on that all day.
It doesn't bite you.
Doesn't bite at all. It tastes like I get like berries.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah. A very strong fruity berry kind of flavor to it, and
it will escape through your nostrils.
Agreed.
As Perry nods his head. Father's choice of words. That's really good.
That's some of the. And again, I like you. I haven't had it in a while, but that's almost better than I remember it.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to friends of the show, the podcasters, or the podcast rather. Will and the Grease out of Nashville, Tennessee. If you have some free time, check them out. Go listen to their show. They did a show recently on some of the most overrated bourbons, and man, oh man, are they going to catch some flack on it?
Really?
Guess which one with the Grease included?
This one?
Blanton's.
Overrated?
Overrated, overhyped. It's a whole thing. I'm not doing it justice by sitting here and saying.
Yeah, we don't want to.
Yeah,
we don't have a podcast war. No.
Yeah.
No. We're starting out.
I need to say, Grease, go get you a glass. Go get you a glass of Blanton's, because I think you need to try it again, man.
Tell you what, come on over. Drive to Lexington.
Will and the Grease, you have a formal invitation to come up to
our basement,
to Lexington, Kentucky, and have a couple drinks.
Listen to the Beatles in mono.
There you go. So that's just about going to do it for this episode of This Is My Bourbon Podcast. Dad, thank you for being on the show.
You're welcome, Perry.
If they're looking for you on social media, where can they find you?
You can find me on Facebook at David Ritter. You can find me on the Twitter at JDRitter2. JDRITTER2. And I can't remember my Instagram.
I think it's Ritter5.
I think it's Ritter5 on Instagram. I'm on Snapchat, David Ritter, RITTER. I follow
DAVID.
Yeah, D. Most everybody I follow back. I got a couple followers today. I ain't following them back.
You can report those, right?
Yeah, I know, I can, but I like to keep them on a leash for a little bit, and then they'll eventually get the hint.
Yeah, sure.
But anyway, Twitter is the main way to really follow.
Sure. And as always,
I'm goofy on there.
As always, you can find us on Instagram at My Bourbon Shop. You can find us on Twitter at My Bourbon Shop. I believe it's My Bourbon Shop. I look at it so often I can't remember.
I think it is My Bourbon Shop.
Anyway, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. You can email us at thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com.
Small shout out. Can we do a small shout out?
Let's give a small shout out, yeah.
To the little filler.
The official little brother of the podcast.
Dane was going to join us this afternoon. He had
some unforeseen
engagement that he was called into, and so we will do another one with him. We hope soon.
Sooner rather than later.
We want to take him to the Maker's Distillery with us, and then maybe we should get a review.
Maybe we could do a live, or not a live one, but we could record, because again, if it's live for you, go away.
I know.
Go away.
I know.
Maybe we could do an on-site podcast for Makers. We'd love to do stuff like that in the future. But anyway.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I had a ball.
You are very welcome. I'm so happy that
I'm glad you could drink my bourbon.
And thank you for... You bring the bourbon, I'll bring the glass.
That's it. And the recording equipment, and then we are set.
Anyway, thank you all so much for listening. My name is Perry. As always, this is My Bourbon Podcast.